Claire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video we are starting our Baking with the Sims series. So as you can tell, we are in my kitchen, and the idea of this series is basically Twitter each week is going to vote on what item I'm going to be creating from the Sims game in real life, and then we are going to do a side-by-side comparison of the process and of course the finished result. So this week we voted on brownies, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so in front of me you can see 3 different bowls here. I've already measured out most of the ingredients just to make things a little bit easier. Not to mention, in The Sims, I would just have to put everything on a cutting board and throw it into a bowl. So that would take obviously much shorter than watching me sit here and sift through all of these ingredients. In this bowl, I have my sugar. It is about 1.5 cups. And then in this bowl, I have my butter. So I have already melted this butter. Technically, if we were doing this properly, you wouldn't melt the butter. You would just let it sit at room temperature for like 8 hours until it softened up itself. But I don't have 8 hours, and neither do you. And so that's what we're going to do. I just popped it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. It's really hot in here already because I baked something earlier. You can kind of see the cakes back here in the background. So my oven's been on for probably like 2 hours, so everything's already pretty warm. Now after you put the butter and the sugar together, we're just gonna cream it in my mixer. I am gonna speed through this or just skip over it because my mixer is going to be super loud. So I do warn you about that one. I know you guys can't see my face, but that's okay. That's not that important. What's important is the baked goods. So I'm just gonna real quickly mix this together. So after we cream the butter and the sugar, it'll look something kind of like this, like a big blob of nothing. We're going to add the eggs, and we're using 3 for this recipe, and I'm really hoping that this recipe works. I've been doing this recipe for years, but I've been using it at the restaurant that I work in, and when we do them at the restaurant, we do batches of like 30 brownies at a time, 40 brownies at a time, something like that. So I always get a little nervous when I have to cut a recipe that's that big down. And my math should be correct. All I had to do was like divide it in 4, but who knows? Who knows if my math is actually going to work out. Okay, and then after we do that, we're going to do our vanilla. Now, I never measure my vanilla. I always just kind of eyeball it. So that's what we're gonna do, because I personally really like vanilla. So it doesn't really matter to me how much goes in here. Although granted, if you were to ever put like a tablespoon of vanilla, that would probably make people sick. So I definitely eyeball less than a tablespoon. And then after that, we just have to do the dry ingredients, which I've already pre-measured, as I said in here. This is cake flour, baking powder, salt, and cocoa powder. That's where the chocolate comes from in this recipe. Now, I usually don't do all of it at one time. I probably do like 1/3 of it at a time, just so the powder doesn't go everywhere, kind of like it is now. My bad. And look at that. We are slowly starting to get brownie batter. And now I have these mini signature select chocolate chips that we are going to be using. Let's see if I can be a real life YouTuber. There we go. Bag in focus. You don't have to use mini, you can use regular. Mini is just what I had in my kitchen. And it's going to be about 1/4 of a cup, but again, I am eyeballing. That was definitely more than 1/4 of a cup. That was probably more like 1/2 of a cup. But you know what? It's okay. Okay, so this is the pan that we're going to be using. And we're going to use this Pam baking spray. So the difference between the baking spray and the regular Pam spray is this one has flour in it. So you don't have to flour your pan afterwards. And then we're just going to scoop our batter in. Okay, so now that they are in the pan, I'm gonna go ahead and pop them in the oven. Now, I'm not 100% sure how long these are gonna take. I will let you know at the end how long it ends up taking. I know when I do them at work it takes about like 25 minutes, but like I said, that batch is huge. So this could be only 20 minutes, it could be 15. So I'm just gonna go ahead, pop them in, and then we will see what happens. Okay guys, so the brownies are done. I think the timer just went off. It's gone off a couple of times and I had to put them back in. It's been about 33 minutes-ish, so I'm gonna pull them out right now. I'm pretty sure they should be done. They were almost there the last time I checked. So I'm just gonna go over here and grab them. And yeah, I think that they're done. They're springing back and nothing's coming out when I put a toothpick in them. So this is what they look like when they come out of the oven. They puffed up quite a bit. I'm actually really excited about that. Now the edges look a little crispy, but they're still folding in on themselves, so that should mean that they're not going to be burnt. So now that they are out of the oven, we just have to let them cool in the pan for a little bit before we go ahead and try and cut them out. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes. The brownies are a little bit harder now, so I think I'm going to be able to get them out of here. I cleaned up my other cake, so I have one of my drying racks here. So we're just gonna do the flippy thing. Ooh, Ah! You saw nothing. Oh, you didn't see it because it was down below. So, slight issue. This isn't coming out. Okay. No problem. I'm a trained professional. So upon taking your, there's my face. Upon taking your brownies out, I would cut out on the edges. See if that'll help you. Oh yeah. So that is the brownies. They're a little thin, but I told you earlier I thought my pan was too big, so that would be why. So I'm gonna put the brownies on this plate. I hope my sister doesn't mind. I totally stole this from her. So right now I'm just going through and I'm cutting them up. Now the edges are a little crispy, as I said they might be. So the edges are pretty much just falling off, but that's okay because since they are a little crispy, that most likely means that they're a little burnt. Oh, and I am actually, so where's my face? I am cutting these directly on the cooling rack. Do not do that at home. I don't have a cutting board big enough to fit these brownies. So I would definitely recommend when you're at home, just putting them on a cutting board or maybe your counter. Just so that way you're not doing this. Although then again, the cooling racks have spaces in them. So it kind of makes it easier to measure out the brownies, make them evenly measured. Okay, so everything is all cleaned up. Took me a little bit longer because I have to sweep the floor because I have to make sure that no chocolate's left on the floor because I do have a dog. He's locked out of the kitchen right now just so he couldn't come in and get any chocolate that might have spilled while I was baking. But these are the finished brownies. So I'm actually really happy with these. This is one of them. It's a cute little square. I'm gonna have some screenshots at the end comparing mine to the ones in The Sims. But I hope you all like this series. If you did, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you all next time. Bye!